So if you're like me, you woke up and Tampa Bay's got two injured receivers, star receivers, and you're starting to wonder, what are we going to do? We're seeing injuries rack up. We're seeing studs not productive. How do we fix this? How do we hit the waiver wire and grab some guys? It's a tough conversation to have right now because we're in bye week season. You know, some of your top players are going to be off or now are hurt. You know, I start thinking about guys like the New England Patriots receiver Kayshon Boutte, a guy who was a very talented receiver coming out of college, concerns about maturity, concerns about productivity. You know, there's things that just seem kind of weird about it. Didn't get drafted highly, has been kind of hanging around New England, but look at what's been going on with him. Jalen Polk's been struggling, you know, whether it's mental lapses, whether it's, you know, hands issues, who knows? But he's been struggling the last few weeks. Boutte has not. He's seen his snaps increase. You know, 3 weeks ago he was in the 60% snap range. Last 2 weeks he's been over 80% snap share. I mean, clearly the team's beginning to trust him, and it happened at the perfect time. Drake May's coming into play. He's starting to get some rapport with his quarterback, and Drake May's not been bad. I mean, the team has not won, I get it, but was really anybody expecting this team to be on the winning end of many competitions this year? But from a fantasy perspective, we don't care about wins and losses for the team. Don't hate on me for that. It just is what it is, as long as our fantasy players produce. And though Boutte has not been amazing, he's been productive. He's been getting targeted, you know, 4+ times. And if you're in a pinch and you need somebody that, you know, you can stash on your bench and see what happens, that's a guy to target. If you're a Tampa Bay owner, if you have Evans or Godwin, Sterling Shepard appears to be the next man up, but I don't know if I trust that a whole lot. You got Jalen McMillan coming back. You've got Trey Palmer there. Maybe they just include more running backs in the passing game. We know Rashad White has some pass catching chops. We know that, you know, Bucky Irving's been pretty good so far as a rookie. You know, look at Detroit. You know, now we're hearing about Jameson maybe being out a couple weeks. Tim Patrick's been getting more involved. They like him. He's been getting involved in that offense and seems to be doing well. You know, the concerns really start to be, how do we flex it and make it work until some of these guys get healthy? And that, I get it, is concerning, you know, especially if you're a team that's trying to be in a playoff spot. You know, at this time of year, we start to begin to go, okay, how do we kind of shuffle the pieces around weekly? And this is where the waiver wire comes in handy. So if you're in need of guys that can help you out, look at these next level of guys. Look at your, you know, your depth pieces on a team, and I'm sure you got a roster spot now because you just put a guy on IR. Stash somebody and see what happens. Doesn't work for a couple weeks, stash somebody else. I mean, this time of year, it's what can I do to get by until some of these guys get healthy? What can I do to help myself be productive until some of these guys get healthy? Sometimes you got to do things that aren't pretty in fantasy football if you want to win. It just is what it is. If I'm looking at players and you got, you know, I'll just put it this way. Don't be afraid to trade, right? I started looking at guys that teams aren't starting very much. Maybe depth pieces that I can go grab that maybe will get me some production for a few weeks. Again, not pretty, but if I'm trying to compete for a championship, I'm going to do the opposite of what Jerry Jones does, where Jerry Jones says he's all in. I actually am going to be all in, and I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to make some trades. You know, I've got an offer out right now because I need quarterback help in a super flex league. It ain't pretty, but I'm going after Trevor Lawrence because he's kind of been all over the place. But I know that he's probably going to get me 12+ fantasy points a week from the quarterback position. So I'm going to trade, you know, a receiver. Right now my offer currently is Michael Pittman, a 2027 first, and 2/3. I know it's overpaying. Roast me in the comments if you want. I need a quarterback and I have plenty of wide receivers. Michael Pittman hasn't been starting for me just because I don't trust Anthony Richardson. When Flacco's in though, Pittman's been a starter. You know, those are the types of things that, as long as you're not mortgaging yourself too badly, and in that league particularly, I have a boatload of draft picks and a team that very quickly became competitive. I'm going to try. Now in Superflex, I don't often say you have to have 2 starting quarterbacks, but it certainly doesn't hurt. And right now, Brock Purdy's my only starting quarterback. So I look for a guy that has potential to give me quarterback 1 type production, which Trevor Lawrence does. The team's been crazy this season and recently, but Trevor Lawrence has potential. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm going to go target a guy, you know, and those are the conversations I have with guys every day in the chats. You know, I get DMs all the time from guys talking through, you know, should I go target a Jalen Polk? Should I go target one of these next level players? You know, if it's going to help you in a pinch, if it's going to prepare you for the future, sure. I mean, right now, you know what your team is. You're either trying to contend or you're rebuilding. I mean, that really is what it comes down to. Being in the middle is not somewhere you want to be. So you need to pick a lane and go in it.